What's up, sports fans? Here's your quiz prep video for your quiz 2.1, multiplying polynomials. Stay tuned for when I get to page 17, number 37 here. This is the ultimate quiz prep question, but all of this builds towards that. I'm gonna do the nerd questions at the end. Here we go, page 15, 18 to 32, that's where we're beginning. 18 is right here. So we got 6x times all this business in the trinomial. We just distribute. 6x times x squared becomes 6x to the third. Using the product rule, that's on page 11 in your yellow notes. X to the first times x to the second, 1 plus 2 makes 3. Same rule is at play here. 6x times negative 4x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. X times x is x squared. 6x times negative 3. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. 6 has an x, this one does not, so we still have 1 that's alive and well. Same thing here, we're distributing a negative y this time. Negative y times negative 3y squared. Well, there's essentially a negative 1 out front. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Y to the first times y to the second is y to the third power. Negative y times 2y becomes negative 2y squared. Negative y times negative 7. Negative times a negative is a positive. Y times 7 is 7y. Number 20, 3x squared times negative x squared. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. X to the second times x to the second. 2 plus 2 makes 4. 3x squared times 2x. 3 times 2 makes 6. X squared times x to the first. 2 plus 1 makes 3. 3x squared times negative 4. That makes a negative 12. X squared. With no x's here, we still have an x squared. Number 21, negative 5x to the third power. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. X to the third, 3 plus 3 makes 6. Negative 5x to the third times negative 4x to the second. Negative 5 times negative 4. Negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 5 is 20. X to the third, x to the second. 3 plus 2 makes 5. Negative 5x to the third times 2. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. This one's got an x to the third. This one does not, so we have an x to the third. This one, these next examples says use a table, use the distributive property, and find each product. We ultimately don't care which process you use, whether it's the box method or the double distribution. I did follow the directions that they gave, so you can see a little bit of both, but I only did one method for each of these, meaning some of them I did just the box, some of them I did just the double distribution. You are welcome to use any method you choose, and I'll point out some similarities. So here we go. I said I did these over here on page 16, starting with number 22. That's down here. So we have our x minus 6. That's this term here. I put that on the top. And then we have 3x plus 4. I chose to put that on the left. Remember, you could go bottom, right? It super doesn't matter. You're going to get the same thing as long as you have 2 on the side and 2 along the top or the bottom. Now we multiply the terms on the outside to fill in the 4 quadrants. Then we combine like terms. X times 3x is 3x squared because 1 times 3 is 3. X times x is x squared. Moving across the top, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. This one's got an x, this one doesn't, so we still have 1. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Now, these two terms in the diagonals are going to combine because we have 4 x's and negative 18 x's. Same exact variable, same exact exponent. 3x squared does not combine with anything. 4 minus 18x is negative 14x. Those two combined to become negative 14. This negative 24 keeps rolling by itself. Number 23, I'm getting the example from up here. 2x plus 1, I did across the top. 4x plus 1, I did down the side. Again, multiplying to find these 4 terms on the inside, combine like terms when relevant. 4x times 2x, 4 times 2 is 8, x times x is x squared. 4x times 1 is 4x. 2x times 1 is 2x, and then 1 times 1 makes 1. 8x squared is a lone wolf, so it comes down. These two are like terms, they combine. 4x plus 2x is 6x's. We've got another lone wolf in our constant value of 1. Moving on to 24. Here I decided to move into the double distribution method. You could keep doing box method, that would be just fine. X minus 6 times x plus 3. I did the green arrows for the x, the pink arrows for the negative 6. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Combining the like terms, they're right here. 3x minus 6x is negative 3x. X squared comes down, negative, that's a negative. Negative 18 comes down. Now, if you chose to do the box method, your like terms would be in the corners just like this. So you'd get the same 4 things I did, but you would get them in a box and you would have like terms in the corners, 3x and negative 6x. You'd combine them, you'd get the same result. Moving on to number 25. Again, the green arrows are with the first term here, the 3x. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. Now to the negative 4. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Combining like terms, 15 minus 8 makes 7. 6x squared is here. Negative 20 is here. Moving on to number 26. 26, x times 2x is 2x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Now the pink terms, negative 8 times 2x, negative times a positive is a negative, 8 times 2 is 16, this one's got an x, so that's there. Negative 8 times 3, again, it's going to be negative, and 8 times 3 makes 24. Combining like terms, 3 minus 16 is negative 13. The 2x squared and the minus 24 just came down. Number 27. This one's got y's and things, and this is a binomial times a trinomial. Again, you could totally do the box method for this. I just chose to do double distribution. So we're doing y times all 3 and then 3 times all 3. So we're going to end up with 6 terms here, combining the like terms. Y times 2y squared becomes 2y to the third power. 1 times 2 is 2. Y times y to the second is y to the third. Y times negative 3y. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Y to the first times y to the first is y to the second. 1 plus 1 makes 2. Y times 4 is 4y. Now we're all done with the y. Let's put our attention on the 3. 3 times 2y squared. 3 times 2 makes 6. And then this one has a y squared. This one does not, so the y squared comes down. 3 times negative 3y. Positive 3 times negative 3 makes negative 9. And then we have a y attached to this one. Now it's two constants. 3 times 4, that makes 12. Combining our like terms, we only have one term with a y to the third power, so that stays out front. A y to the second power, however, we have 1 here in green, or negative 3 of them in green. We got 6 of them here in pink. Negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. So we combine these two terms to become 3y squared. Now our y's, we got 4 y's here in green and a minus 9 of them in pink. 4 minus 9 makes negative 5. So we have negative 5y after combining. The 12 is the 12. Moving on to 28, same exact process, just another example. 2x times 3x squared, 2 times 3 makes 6. X times x squared is x to the third. 2x times negative x to the fourth. 2 times negative 4 is negative, I wrote positive 8. Did I make a mistake here? It appears that I did. That should say minus 8. Hello. So 2 times that is negative 8. X times x is x squared. Let's keep going and see how that mistake impacts things. 2x times 1 is 2x. Okay, we're done with that 2x. Let's put our attention on the negative 7. Negative 7 times 3, negative 21, x to the second power. Negative 7 times negative 4 is negative times a negative is a positive. We got that this time. Then we have 28x. Cool. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. Combining like terms. 6x to the third, that comes down. Here's where my mistake is going to come into play. This is a negative 8x squared and a negative 21. Negative 8 minus 21 is not negative 13, so it's going to be negative 29x squared. So this here should say minus 29x squared. Cool, watching me correct my answer key in real time. Then our x's, we got 2 of them here, we got 28 more. 2 plus 28 makes 30, and then we have this constant value of negative 7 coming on down. Moving on, we're going to number 29. We're going to finish through 31, and then we'll bounce over here for 32 before we turn the page. Binomial times a trinomial, same game, different numbers. 2x squared times negative 3x squared. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. 2x squared times 4x. 2 times 4 makes 8. X to the second, x to the first. 2 plus 1 makes 3 for the exponent. 2x squared times negative 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X squared and no x's turns into this, x squared. Now the negative 3x here in pink. Negative 3x squared, negative 3x times negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. X times x squared is x to the third power. Negative 3 times negative 3x times 4x. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. X times x is x squared. Negative 3x times negative 2. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Here we have an x. Here we don't. Bring it on down. Combining our like terms, the x to the fourth stays the same. X to the third, 8 plus 9 makes 17. Then we got negative 4 minus 12 to give us negative 16x squared. And then the 6x is by itself. Here we are, number 30, negative 2x squared times positive 2x squared. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. Negative 2x squared times negative 3x. Negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 3 makes 6. X squared times x to the first is x to the third. Negative 2x squared times negative 7. Negative times a negative yields a positive. So 2 times 7 makes 14. X to the second comes on down because there's no x's attached. Done with this. Now we have multiplying everything by 1. That's what's here in pink. 1 times anything is just itself, so we copy these three down. 2x squared minus 3x minus 7. We just multiplied it all by 1, combining like terms. X to the fourth terms come on down. X to the third terms come on down as well. Nothing to combine. X squared terms. I see 14 in green. I see 2 in pink. 14 plus 2 makes 16. Then there's nothing to combine here as well. Then minus 3x and the minus 7 come down. Not a lot to combine, but there is some. Number 31. X squared times all three. We end up with 3x to the fourth. Then x squared times negative 2x is negative 2x to the third. Yikes, another mistake. Hello. So x squared times negative 2x should be negative 2x to the third. Again, that will impact our final response. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. Now the 3x, this turns into 9x to the third power. 3x times negative 2x is negative 6x squared. And then 3x times 4 is 12x. Combining like terms, we only have one term with x to the fourth. That comes on down. X to the third, this is where the mistake was made. Negative 2 plus 9. Negative 2 plus 9 turns into positive 7. So it's not a huge mistake, but it went from wrong to right now. So this is a plus 7x to the third power. Now our x squared terms, we have 4 minus 6. That turns into minus negative 2. Then we have this 12x all by itself. Nothing to combine it with. Here it is. Again, here's your practice problems for today. I'm moving on to page 17, number 37. This one here looks a whole lot like today's quiz. Please pay special attention to this one. So number 37, make sense and persevere. A dance teacher wants to expand her dance studio to fit more classes. What is the combined area of Studio A and Studio B? Okay, so Studio A is right here, Studio B is here. It looks like Studio A is what they have. They're trying to expand to purchase this portion of the building. We're gonna find the area of Studio A, we're gonna find the area of Studio B, and then we're gonna add them together. Over here, you can see in blue, I found the area of Studio A, x plus 3 times 4x minus 8. I chose to do the double distribution, not the box. You could totally do the box method here. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 8 is negative 8x. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Combining like terms, 4x squared, combine the x's, negative 8 plus 12 is 4, and then the minus 24. Studio B, that's over here, 2x times 4x plus 6. 2x times 4x plus 6, just distribute. 2x times 4x is 8x squared. 2x times 6 is 12x. Now we're not done yet. The ultimate question here says, what is the combined area? We found the separate areas. This is the area of Studio A, this is the area of Studio B. Let's add them together, Studio A plus Studio B. So here's the blue stuff, I just copied it. Here's the pink stuff, I just copied it. Now we're combining like terms for the total area. Our x squareds, I see 4 in blue, I see 8 in pink. 4 plus 8 makes 12. Now the x's, I see 4 in blue, I see 12 in pink. 4 plus 12 makes 16, and then here we have a constant value of negative 24. Again, today's quiz question is gonna look a lot like page 17, number 37. Okay, I said I was gonna go over the nerd problems here, so if you're not doing those, feel free to tune out. I'm gonna go over these fairly quickly, going back to page 15, 11 through 13, and we'll do 17 as well. Number 11, the area of the rectangle is given, and we are trying to find the length and the width here. So identify the missing terms in the length and the width. So what I did here, what I noticed is that there's an x squared in the area. The only way to get an x squared is to do x times x. So that's how I knew this one was going to be x. Then I noticed there was a 28 here at the end. The only way to get a 28 is to take our 4 that was given and multiply it by 7. So I knew that's what went in the blanks here. Okay, this one here is going to kind of explain some of the structure. This table shows the product when multiplying two binomials. What is the relationship between the numbers and the factors and the terms in the product? I wrote my response over here on page 16. This is number 12. I'm not going to read through this whole thing right now. I'm going to point out what's going on. The first term is always going to be the product of the first terms. X times x is x squared. X times x is x squared. X times x is x squared. That's not a coincidence. That will always be the case. Notice the pattern with the last terms here. It's the product of the last terms. 3 times 4 makes 12. 2 times negative 5 makes negative 10. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. That pattern will always be the case. Now, what about the middle term? Check this out. 3 plus 4 gives us 7. That's the coefficient in front of the x. 3 plus a negative 5, or 3 minus 5. That gives us negative 3. That's the coefficient in front of the x. Same is true here. Negative 3 minus 5, negative 8. That's the coefficient in front of the x. That pattern will always be the case when multiplying two binomials. Feel free to keep that in mind. Use that as a shortcut. Number 13, error analysis. Describe and correct the error a student made when multiplying two binomials. So when they multiplied here, they should have distributed the 2x into both the 4x and the negative 1. The same with the 2. So 2x times 4x is indeed 8x squared, and 2 times negative 1 is indeed negative 2. That is incomplete. That is not finished. We should have done 2x times 4x to get this, 2x times negative 1 to get that, then 2 times 4x to get this, 2 times negative 1 to get that. Combine like terms. This is what our solution should be. Number 17 on this page. Explain how to find the combined volume of two rectangular prisms described. One has side lengths of this, this, and this. The other one has side lengths of this, this, and this. So ultimately, you multiply them both separately and then combine like terms, adding them together. So I'm not going to show the whole entire process here, but the pink ones, as you can see, I've circled one of the prism. It's length times width times height, 3x times 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. You can distribute the 3x in, then you'll have a binomial, then binomial times a binomial to get the third one. So it's 2 rounds of multiplication to get your polynomial here. Play the same game with the blue ones. This binomial times that one, then multiply everything by 8. Then you would add the pink stuff plus the blue stuff by combining like terms. Turning the page, number 17, numbers 34, 36, and then 38 through 40. 34, the volume of a cube is calculated by multiplying the length, width, and height. What is the volume of this cube? So again, volume is length times width times height. If it's a cube, that means all the sides are the same. They're all squares. So square has the same length and width. So everything is going to be the same. The length times width times height. A cube has the exact same length, width, and height. So we're only given one measurement, but we're actually given everything. So 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2, length times width, times the height of the cube, 3x plus 2. So first, I've multiplied these two out by using double distribution. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 2 is 6x. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 2 is 4. I still have this third one remaining. Then I multiplied the third one in. This stuff times this stuff after combining like terms. Same process, double distribution, end up with this long string, combine like terms. That's where we land. That is number 34. Let's bounce down to number 36. What is the area of the painting shown? I did this over here on page 18, number 36. It's here. Okay, so this one was kind of clunky. We're given this space here, the x plus 6. We're given this one here, x plus 2. We're given this width here of the black section as x, and we're given this section here as well. So this turns into like a big old box method where you can break down the individuals into little box methods here. So I did the x plus 4 times x plus 6. So that is this region here, the top left region. X plus 6 is this height. X plus 4 is this width. I multiplied them together to get this here. The x squared plus 10x plus 24. And you can see how I'm beginning to set this up over here. I'm going to add the 4 areas together. Then this top right section has a width of x, a height of x plus 6. I multiplied those together to get this blue stuff, brought it over. Down here, x plus 4 times x plus 2. I know that this has a width of x plus 4, a height of x plus 2. Multiply those together to get the green stuff, and then x times x plus 2 to get the red stuff. Add them all together by combining like terms. That's number 36. Let's look at 38 through 40, and then this thing will be complete. Number 38, write the expression as a sum of monomials. So number 38, what we're looking for here, it says a sum of monomials. That is just going to be us like doing the multiplication, doing some subtraction, and then combining like terms. So I did this in blue, this section here, multiplied those out. I chose to do the double distribution. You could totally do the box. So just this x plus 4 times 2x plus 1, multiplied them, combined like terms, resulting in this blue stuff. In pink, multiplied them out here, combined like terms, got us here. And then I also here distributed my negative. This is a minus x. This would be negative 2x, but it's a negative negative 2, so it's positive. And then a minus negative 15 turns into a plus 15. This 3x squared is still, we didn't touch it yet, but it's still there. Combine the like terms to get to here. Number 39. This is a SAT, ACT type of question. What is the product of these two things here? Just the same type of stuff, but these multiple choice questions are tricky because they take advantage of common mistakes, or they acknowledge common mistakes and write all these solutions will make sense to you if you made some sort of common mistake. So when we multiply this out, negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared, negative 2x times negative 5, negative times negative is a positive, and then we got 10 x's. 2 times x is 2x, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Combining like terms, 10 plus 2 is 12, bring the others down. This is option B. Last one here, thanks for hanging on, number 40. The net of a rectangular box and its dimensions are shown. So what's going on here is this is like a box that's all flattened out. We could fold it all together and like this would be the bottom, this would come up, this would come up, this would be like the back, it would hinge right here, then this is the lid, it would come over the top. So we're trying to find an expression for the surface area of the box in terms of x. So I drew the box out, I wrote in all the dimensions that I had. The tricky part here is that this is an x plus 3. I know that's really, really hard to see. This is also an x plus 3. The box, it matches, it's got the same height. These are the same length and width here. So we got x by x. So I drew it all out. Then I broke it up. You can see the colors here. I found the area of the inside. I did 2x plus 5 times x plus 3 to get the stuff in blue. Then these rectangles here, 2x plus 5 is the width, the height is x. That's how we got the pink. And then the green is x times x plus 3. That's how we got that. Then with the colors, you can see I have 2 blue regions, 2 pink regions, 2 green regions. Add them all together, combine like terms to get this here. This is me finding the individual area of the blue region, the pink region, and the green region, showing that work. Part B, what integer value of x would give the prism a surface area of about 600? So what we do here is we're setting up an equation to solve. We take this result from A, and we set it equal to approximately 600. And then we're just kind of doing a little bit of guess and check here because we don't really have a way to solve this quite yet. We have an x squared, we have an x, we don't have a way to get x equals whatever. So playing some guess and check. Let's see what happens when x is 5. Let's see what happens when it's 6. And we're looking for something that's about 600. So when I plugged in 5 and I played a game of PEMDAS, you can see my work here, I got 470. That's pretty close to 600, but then I thought, oh, what if we can get closer? So I plugged in 6. And then I, again, plugged it in, played a game of PEMDAS, got 588. 588 is about 60. So x equals 6, give the prism a surface area of about 600 square centimeters. So this one is when x equals 6 is really stinking close. It'd be like 6.1 or 6.05 or something like that would ultimately give us something that's exactly 600. All right, thanks for checking this out. Your quiz is at the end of today's class session. You got this.